Hello Pokemon Go fans, and welcome to my tutorial on how to get a Pokemon from every state. In this video, I'm going to be doing a challenge to get a Pokemon from every single state in the US. This challenge has definitely been done before, and most creators who spend thousands on the game have already completed this without even knowing it. But to keep things fair to free-to-play players, I'm going to only start keeping track of the Pokemon starting now. I also want to add, I started this challenge over 2 years ago, but since I'm lazy and didn't edit this until now, the Pokemon are going to seem pretty different due to different events being active at the time. Of course, a challenge must have rules and restrictions. The ones I've set for myself are: I can't use Pokemon that I already have in my inventory, which I said before. I can't have the same 2 Pokemon for a state. I can't spoof, since that goes against Pokemon Go's terms of services. And I must catch the Pokemon with the description saying caught from said state. Now, I can't just afford a cross-country trip, especially since I'm still in school, so we gotta think of some local ways to get some Pokemon. I've narrowed it down to 4 main methods of obtaining these Pokemon. The first method we can do is catching. If I'm visiting or traveling to another state, or even my own state, I can simply just catch a Pokemon from anywhere I want. That's the method we're going to be using for my home state, New York, making our first Pokemon we catch, Pidove. Sadly, not a shiny or a hundo, but still a pretty fit choice for New York. The second method we're going to be using to get Pokemon is trading. If my friend has a Pokemon from another state, like my good buddy Mango Man, who goes to college in Connecticut, then he could simply just trade me one, making our second Pokemon Dratini for Connecticut. Our third Pokemon is going to be Wynot for the state in Massachusetts, which was traded to me by my homeboy Betty. Betty also clutches up with Cleffa for a 4th state, Tennessee. We can't just trade our way for every Pokemon, though. Another way we can get Pokemon from out of my local state is remote raiding. Remote raiding allows you to remote specific Pokemon from anywhere in the world and will say it's been caught from where the raid is located. Our first raided Pokemon for the state of Minnesota is Genesect. Sadly not a shiny, but it is technically a mythical which cannot be traded. Raiding is also sadly super expensive for free-to-play players, so we're going to avoid raiding as much as we can, and that brings us back to trading. Our 6th Pokemon, Kakuna, will be for the state New Jersey. Our 7th for California is Igglybuff, then Kentucky is Carablast. And these 3 were traded to me by my homeboy Kyle, who plays this game a lot more than me, so thank goodness for Kyle. And go find a friend like him if you're doing this challenge. Our final method of obtaining Pokemon is hatching eggs, which our first state from hatching eggs is Alabama with a timber. Egg hatching is still pretty expensive, and it may be our only method to completing this challenge. Luckily, thanks to the new feature Showcases, you could obtain plenty of egg incubators every week, as well as using Pokecoins from gyms to buy them. That is also going to be our only method of getting remote raid passes, since I am completely out. The next Pokemon we get are Gumi for Colorado, Happity for Texas, and Ponyta for Illinois, all from hatching 7K eggs. How am I getting 7K eggs from all the way in other states, you may be wondering? Thankfully, we have a nice system in Pokemon Go where people can send gifts to each other and get eggs from gifts. So it was very lucky for me to have a friend from all those states. There is a limit, though, of only opening 20 gifts a day, so you have to keep that in mind. Our next Pokemon is another trade from my friend Dan, who gave us a Marill from Pennsylvania. That's 13 down, and the spawns in 7Ks just changed, so we could grind those spawns for that again. We eventually get Quillfish, which we evolve into Overquill for Kansas. We do this because 2 states can't have the same Pokemon as we said in our rules. The next Pokemon are Stunfisk for Nebraska, Vulpix for Maryland, Galarian Farfetch for Michigan, Growlithe for Georgia, which we evolve into Arcanine, and Meowth for Washington, which we also evolve into Persian. All 6 of those Pokemon were hatched, and we're going to be hatching many, many more. Our next group of Pokemon we also hatched, the first being Galarian Farfetch, which we evolved into Sir Farfetch for Mississippi, Wisconsin, which we get a Alolan Vulpix for, which we evolve into Ninetales, Oregon, we get Galarian Zigzagoon, and Ohio, we get Galarian Slowking. Our next Pokemon we hatched was on Fennekin Calm Day and was a Meowth for Arizona. And after the event ended, my friend Matt treated me an Elekid for Missouri. The next day on my run, I hatch another Galarian Ponyta and evolve it into Galarian Rapidash for the state of Louisiana, along with a Voltorb for Oklahoma. My friend Kyle makes a comeback and trades me a Hawaii Kyogre, which I was very happy to get out of the way. Then the next day, I hatch another 4 Pokemon, being Growlithe for Virginia, Meowth which we evolved into Berserker for Montana. Indiana, we just got another Galarian Zigzagoon, which we evolved into its middle stage. And Utah, we got another Slowpoke, which we evolved into Slowbro. We slow it down the next day and only hatch 2 Pokemon. One being for South Carolina, we get a Hisuian Sneasel, which we evolve into Sneasler. And for North Carolina, we get a Alolan Meowth. I got really tired from hatching all these eggs and decided to do a remote raid for our next Pokemon, which is Swablu, which we evolve into Altaria for Nevada. That was probably not the smartest choice because that could have came back in Mega Raids, but it is what it is. And luckily my boy Kyle clutches up again for Delaware by giving us a Sawsbuck. The next day, I do still hatch a Quillfish for New Mexico on my run, but the egg pool is diminishing and my legs are hurting. Our next 3 Pokemon were traded. One from my boy Matt for Togekiss for the state Idaho. I got an Alaska Dragonite from my friend Zach when he visited there. And I got our very first lucky Pokemon for Florida, which was Tangela. I got that from my friend Dylan. The egg pool is really starting to shrink, and the remaining states I didn't have friends for. So I try searching for new friends online to either invite me to raids or give me eggs. I end up hatching a Galarian Zigzagoon and evolve it into Obstagoon for Rhode Island and get a raid invite for North Dakota for a Swampert. Maine, I get an invite for a Pineco raid, which felt very bad wasting that remote raid pass, but it is what it is. That gave me a little boost of energy to keep searching, but over the next month, I was failing to find any friends for the following states, and I did not get another Pokemon for this challenge. I didn't see it being worth hatching so many eggs with only the rarest Pokemon left, since they are rather expensive to hatch, until I finally found someone on Discord to invite me to a Charmander raid for Arkansas. This Pokemon also had a little party at because it was a birthday event. I was so happy to finally get some progress, and even better news, the egg spawns were about to change, meaning if I could find friends from the last 6 states I needed, then I could finally finish this challenge. Leading up to the egg change, I catch a Hisuian Sneasel for Wyoming, and a Voltorb, which we evolved into Electrode for South Dakota. After that, I waited and waited until the week of the event. I had an empty inventory to open gifts and started hatching eggs. On the first day of the event, I got a Rockruff for Iowa, another Rockruff, which we evolved into Lycanroc, Dayform for New Hampshire. Then we hatch a Hundo Phalanx for West Virginia, giving us our first and only Hundo for this challenge. And our last state, Vermont, on the last day of the event, I got another Rockruff and evolved it into the Night form. This challenge was a lot of fun to do, and I hope I can continue doing more in the future. Maybe a Pokemon from every country next, or a shiny from every state. That wouldn't be able to come out for probably years, but hey, maybe, who knows. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and leave a like and comment of what you want to see next.